We have the latest on Bray Wyatt's status for WrestleMania 39 amid rumours and concerns that illness could rule him out of the grandest stage of them all. Dominic Mysterio challenges his father Rey Mysterio to a match at WrestleMania. Stone Cold Steve Austin. There have reportedly been internal pitches involving the Texas Rattlesnake in the last couple of weeks to have him involved in some capacity at this year's WrestleMania. We've got details on that. Finn Balor versus Edge is now confirmed to be inside Hell in a Cell on the grandest stage of them all. Brock Lesnar faced off against Asuka last night, going face-to-face with the Nigerian giant for the first time. Ric Flair will announce the next inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2023. Kevin Owens says he's going to face the Bloodline alone, although it didn't help him last night as he lost against Solo Sikoa. Roman Reigns will make his return to Monday Night Raw next week. So will Logan Paul, hosting an episode of his Impulsive TV podcast on the Red Brand. Rhea Ripley embraces her inner 11 as she parodies Stranger Things and confirms the main event of WrestleMania Night 1. Otis receives a makeover from the Maximum Male models on Monday night, and we have the ratings for last Friday's edition of SmackDown. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of World Wrestling Entertainment. Let's start off talking about Bray Wyatt. A big story last night, wasn't it? Talking about Bray Wyatt, a physical issue that has led him to not competing for the last couple of weeks, not being on television, ruled him out, basically, led to him being pulled from the Madison Square Garden live event over the weekend. We've got the latest regarding his status for WrestleMania amid this rumours of illness and possibility of the match against Bobby Lashley being cancelled or pulled. Now, the latest update on the status of Bray Wyatt has come to light amid concerns that an illness could keep him out of WrestleMania 39. Of course, reports emerged from Fightful yesterday after Wyatt missed the Madison Square Garden house show at the weekend that WWE's creative team had been told that he was out of action and off the road due to an illness. It was also described as a physical issue. While not confirmed, it was said that this could put his status for WrestleMania up in the air, which would leave the almighty Bobby Lashley without an opponent. Now, it would seem that Lashley is aware of the situation, as he tweeted after the news emerged, quote, "I've worked too hard to be denied. I will be ready to fight on the biggest stage of them all, #WrestleMania. I don't care who it is, somebody will feel the wrath of the Almighty." Now, although details are still pretty vague about all of this, and despite Lashley's tweet, the latest update on Wyatt does seem to be a positive one, as it sounds like the Lashley versus Wyatt match hasn't been cancelled and he is expected to be back soon. Speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer said, quote, "From what I understand, the match is still on for WrestleMania and he should be back very soon. That's pretty much all I can say. There is something to it, but I'm not at liberty to discuss it. As far as I know, everything I've been told is that it's not a creative issue or anything like that." Of course, the original plan for Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania was a match against Brock Lesnar, but Lesnar actually rejected that idea and approved the match between himself and Asuka instead, with that developing last night on Raw. There was no mention of Wyatt, Lashley, or the match on last night's episode of Raw, it must be said, so I guess the latest update is that it is a positive one. He is expected to be back and the match is still set to, I guess, or hoped certainly, to take place. It's not because of creative issues that had been rumoured yesterday on the likes of Reddit and social media. Sean Ross Sapp, in his initial report revealing this physical issue, said it's not due to creative. Dave Meltzer saying also it's not due to creative, but saying he's not at liberty to discuss what the issue actually is. So there's still quite a lot of vagueness surrounding all of this. Now, if Bray Wyatt wasn't to compete at WrestleMania, if this physical issue were to keep him off the grandest stage of them all, who could Lashley face? Well, one man who's thrown his name into the ring is an unlikely one in the form of Matt Cardona. Now, Cardona, formerly Zack Ryder, has been rumoured for months to be joining his wife Chelsea Green in returning to WWE, but it hasn't quite come to fruition just yet. Responding to yesterday's news that Lashley may need a new opponent, Cardona tweeted a reminder that Lashley was actually his last opponent in WWE before he was released in 2020. So a return against the very same man at WrestleMania would be somewhat poetic in that sense. Even with the rumours of a WWE return though, Cardona's run on the Indies shows no sign of slowing down, so it's always possible he's just trying to get people talking on social media. I think it's likely to be that kind of situation, isn't it actually? But again, the latest news is that the expectation is that Bray Wyatt will indeed be wrestling at WrestleMania and he will be facing Bobby Lashley, but of course this is still a developing story and a story that again, is got a lot of people talking for a variety of reasons, so we'll see indeed what does happen. Now, speaking of WrestleMania, what's going on with the Texas Rattlesnake? Stone Cold Steve Austin. Well, according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, WWE hasn't still given up on Stone Cold Steve Austin appearing at WrestleMania. The 58-year-old Stone Cold Steve Austin came out of a nearly 20-year retirement last year to main event WrestleMania Night 1 with Kevin Owens. Now, Fightful have been told, and it's been reported, that multiple pitches have been made to Stone Cold Steve Austin since last year. WWE sources believed he's been open-minded to the possibility of wrestling another match for the right situation and right money, but the offers so far haven't seemed like either of those. Sources familiar with the situation told Fightful that Austin was pitched a match with Brock Lesnar last summer or fall, but the money associated was a non-starter. Now, later on, Austin was offered a significantly higher amount to possibly face Roman Reigns, and Fightful have been told that he just didn't get back to WWE on the matter, so they moved forward with Cody Rhodes. It's quite interesting that basically Austin just didn't get back to him on it. Now, of late, Fightful have heard that the very much in-shape Steve Austin was made additional pitches to get on the show, but not necessarily for marquee matches. LA Knight was a name rumoured online, and Fightful can indeed confirm that at least that has been pitched to Austin. However, nobody close to Austin or in WWE have been able to verify that it's happening as of right now. Steve Austin is scheduled to do some WWE-related promotional work for WWE 2K soon, so don't rule him out being there at WrestleMania. And again, reportedly, LA Knight has been pitched. Whether a match would happen, whether a bit like last year, it would kind of be a spur-of-the-moment impromptu match, we'll have to wait and see. Now, an impromptu match on Raw, following a staggering reaction at Madison Square Garden, it could lead to a big push for LA Knight. As I mentioned yesterday on social media, LA Knight demanded his WrestleMania moments, only to receive a challenge from Cody Rhodes if he could get to Raw in Providence, Rhode Island. Of course, Knight would accept the challenge, the match was set, and Dave Meltzer addressed the encounter on Wrestling Observer Radio, and also the possibility that this could lead to a push for Knight, saying, quote, "As far as LA Knight goes, at Madison Square Garden, LA Knight was in a battle royal and he got a big babyface reaction. Madison Square Garden and WWE, it's a weird thing because if it was any other arena in the country, they'd just go, whatever, it doesn't matter. They don't listen to the crowd. But if it's Madison Square Garden, they do listen." So it's something to just remember because it helped LA Knight a lot. Obviously, he's just there to basically be a guy who talks real good and then gets humiliated, but that's been his role since he got there, and he got a lot of offense in this match versus Rhodes on Raw. They went longer than I expected them to, and it's because if the Garden fans like you, the Toronto fans are Bizarro Land, the Montreal fans are Bizarro Land, the Garden fans, when they're Bizarro Land, it counts. So it counts for him. Now again, it has been reported that multiple pitches have been made to Stone Cold Steve Austin for a possible fight, scuffle, encounter, promo segment, match, I don't know, but something involving LA Knight and Stone Cold Steve Austin for WrestleMania. So if we get closer to the event and LA Knight isn't doing something, we maybe could see yeah versus what. That could be a trade-off that we see at WrestleMania. Now, speaking of WrestleMania, it would appear that we are going to get Dominic Mysterio versus Rey Mysterio, and certainly the challenge has been set. Dominic Mysterio officially challenged his father, Rey Mysterio, to a match at WrestleMania 39 on last night's edition of Monday Night Raw in Providence, Rhode Island. However, Rey rejected the challenge as he came face-to-face with his son for an in-ring segment. The confrontation began with Dominic mocking Rey for finally making it into the Hall of Fame, but doing so at his expense. "You earned that honor at the expense of me," Dominic said, of Rey being part of the 2023 WWE Hall of Fame class. "I see you for what you truly are, and that's a sad, ugly excuse for a father. Actually, an excuse for a man. I'm going to let you enjoy your Hall of Fame weekend in Los Angeles," Dominic continued, "but let's make it a bit better because I challenge you to a match at WrestleMania." While the fans in the arena broke into a loud yes chant, Rey reiterated his earlier stance of not wanting to fight my own son, regardless of how far Dominic was willing to go. "Whether you believe it or not, I still love you, son, and I always will," Rey responded. "There will be no match at WrestleMania." At this point, Rey walked away from the ring, propelling Dominic to mock his father for being a quitter. "Yes, keep walking away. Do what you do," Dominic said. "You ran away from Raw, your family, and from me. The only thing you actually taught me is what not to be." Now, if the match is made official, it will mark the first instance of a father versus son bout at WrestleMania since WrestleMania 17, where Vince McMahon battled his son Shane McMahon. Other father versus son matches in pro wrestling history include Ric Flair versus David Flair at WCW's Great American Bash 2000, Jerry Lawler versus Brian Christopher at USWA's Memphis Wrestling event in 1993, Chavo Classic versus Chavo Guerrero Jr. versus Spike Dudley in 2004, but they're very few and far between, and certainly this would probably be the biggest one, again, since that WrestleMania 17 match between Shane and Vince McMahon. Now, speaking of WrestleMania as well, it has been confirmed Edge will face off against Finn Balor inside Hell in a Cell. Edge didn't waste any time as Raw kicked off from Providence, Rhode Island. After months upon months upon months of feuding with the group he created, the Judgment Day, the rated R superstar took to the ring to call out Finn Balor. After a little back and forth, he made his message clear. He'd accept Balor's WrestleMania challenge with one stipulation: Hell in a Cell. In response, Balor not only accepted, but possibly hinted at bringing back the demon as well, saying, quote, "Edge, I've been to hell before and it spit me out because hell couldn't handle my demons," Balor said. "I'll see you at WrestleMania." Needless to say, it's been made official. If there is a way to keep, I guess, the rest of the Judgment Day out, putting this showdown inside the Hell in a Cell structure is as good as an idea as I guess it can get. If nothing else, this will likely mark the end of Balor versus Edge, a feud that started all the way back in June when the Hall of Famer was exiled from his own stable by Balor, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. In the months since, Edge has gone on to defeat every male member of this faction aside from Balor, who made him say "I quit" at Extreme Rules last October. Of course, Balor and Priest ganged up to eliminate Edge from the Men's Royal Rumble in January, reigniting the feud, before losing a mixed tag team match alongside Ripley against the 11-time world champion and his wife Beth Phoenix at Elimination Chamber. 2 nights later on Raw, though, Balor would get the last laugh by interfering in Edge's match against Austin Theory, ultimately costing him the chance to win the US Championship in his native Canada. Of course, there had been rumors we were going to get Edge versus Finn Balor in a Hell in a Cell match at the Royal Rumble event, but that didn't happen because Edge was busy filming throughout just December and January on Percy Jackson, that Disney Plus series, so we're going to get it at WrestleMania instead. Brock Lesnar faced off with Omos for the first time last night on Monday Night Raw, and ahead of their WrestleMania 39 showdown, Brock Lesnar came face-to-face with Omos on Raw last night. With Omos coming to the ring with MVP to discuss that Lesnar accepting Omos' challenge was a big mistake, Lesnar appeared. Coming to the ring, Lesnar outreached his hand to Omos. While the pair shook hands, their peaceful exchange took a turn. With Omos appearing to continue the grip on Lesnar's hand, Brock then stomped on his foot and they came to blows. But remarkably, Omos rather quickly boosted Lesnar from the ring and proved that he was perhaps more formidable foe than folks maybe previously have expected. And Lesnar walked away, leading commentary to say that this is the first time they've ever seen Lesnar run away, which of course it isn't. It must be said, the interaction was, I'm not sure the best word to describe it, clunky at best. This is not going to be a wrestling classic at WrestleMania, of course. This is more for the spectacle, because it must be said, when they went face to face, or certainly when Lesnar looked up at the Nigerian giant, the crowd made a lot of noise, and that's clearly what WWE is going for here. Now, Ric Flair is set to announce the next inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2023. With the road to WrestleMania speeding on last night's Raw, there was an announcement of an upcoming announcement. No, apparently that's not just, that happens everywhere. On Raw, it was announced that not only would Ric Flair be the special guest on this week's edition of The Bump, but he'd be bringing some scoops with him. Set to break the news on Wednesday, March 15, Ric Flair will be the one to announce the next inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2023. Now, there's a bit of a spoiler on who this could be. According to Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, signs seem to be pointing towards Keiji Muto, also known as the Great Muta, being the name announced by Flair. Meltzer said, quote, Ric Flair has asked to induct Muto, or has been asked to induct Muto. A lot of people thought it would be Sting, but politically, that would have been tough before. I think it would have been even tougher now. We do know that Muto has been asked to be in the Hall of Fame, and we do know that Flair has asked to induct him, so that seems to make the most sense. As far as other names as well, it has been reported that WWE is also finalizing a deal for another Hall of Fame inductee, along with Rey Mysterio, who was announced as the first inductee on last night's last week's edition of SmackDown. According to PW Insider Elite, WWE are working on a deal for Stacy Keibler to join the class of 2023. PW Insider's Mike Johnson states that WWE and Keibler have been in contact regarding an induction for weeks, and it is thought to be 99% a done deal, according to some sources. However, despite this, there are others who warned that the deal was not yet confirmed and hadn't been done so as of last week. If Keibler's induction does in fact turn out to be true, she would become the second confirmed name for this year's ceremony. As I mentioned, it looks like Muta is going to be the second confirmed name, announced by Flair this coming Wednesday on The Bump. Keibler hasn't appeared on WWE TV in over 4 years, last appearing at the 2019 Hall of Fame ceremony where she inducted Tori Wilson. Various other names have been speculated for the Hall of Fame, such as Batista, of course, who was originally set to be inducted back in 2020. Hulk Hogan recently shared an interesting video where he seemed to hint that the Rougeau brothers could actually receive an honor as well. So keep an eye out, because certainly it looks like we're going to see more names announced in the coming days and weeks, and Flair is going to announce the next one on Wednesday. Now, Kevin Owens, his storyline with the Bloodline continued last night on Monday Night Raw. On last night's episode of Raw, Kevin Owens declared he would take on the Bloodline alone, and it didn't go too great for him. After previously declaring in a backstage segment that he planned to fight the Bloodline alone and had told Sami Zayn as much, as well as Cody Rhodes, KO had a message for everyone: stay out of my Bloodline business. After, in a raucous main event, Kevin Owens was set to face off against Solo Sikoa in a street fight. The brutal affair did not disappoint as the duo squared off using plenty of weapons to raise the stakes of the attacks, although it was one spot in particular that got Owens into trouble. Battling up the entrance ramp, Solo Sikoa led him to the backstage gorilla area where the Usos were lying in wait to lay out the thunderous stereo super kicks to lay out Owens. With Sikoa literally dragging Owens back to the ring, there was not much battle left in him as he was assaulted by the Bloodline. As previously requested, he received no run-in help from Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes or anyone else in the locker room. Flying solo against Solo proved to be nearly vomit-inducing after getting nailed with a big Samoan spike, and Sikoa picked up the pinfall victory, and Owens ended the night spluttering in the ring. So maybe he might want to rethink that in that whole fighting against the Bloodline alone kind of mantra that he's kind of using at the moment. Roman Reigns, his next Raw appearance has indeed been revealed for next week's show. Roman Reigns is set to make another big appearance on Raw as the road to WrestleMania and Cody Rhodes continues. The next face-to-face showdown between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes on the road to WrestleMania has been announced on last night's edition of Raw. In a backstage interview segment with Paul Heyman, Mr. Heyman spoke out against Cody Rhodes after his oratory exhibition earlier on in the night, informing both his upcoming WrestleMania 39 opponent and WWE fans when they would be able to see Roman Reigns again on Monday Night Raw next Monday, March 20. So the Tribal Chief will grace us with his presence next week on the Red Brand broadcast. Now, speaking of people returning next week, Logan Paul will also be back next week on Monday Night Raw. WWE has announced that Logan Paul will return to host a live episode of his Impulsive TV show. Of course, that continues his build to WrestleMania with his match against Seth freaking Rollins. Now, in addition to that, in addition to Reigns, in addition to Paul, after last night's match between Bianca Belair and Chelsea Green ended in a victory for Belair, it didn't mean Green or her new pal Carmella at ringside were done with the champion. Attempting to start a 2-on-1 beatdown, the pair were interrupted yet again by Asuka, who ran out to make the save on behalf of Belair. But similarly to last time, Asuka's good nature seemed tenuous while she was helping Bianca. She then began to spit blue mist, but in a jovial mood this time. And later on, it was announced that on next week's Raw, Bianca Belair and Asuka would form a tag team together to face Carmella and Chelsea Green. The question is, can they coexist? We're back to doing that again. Rhea Ripley has embraced and channeled her inner Stranger Things, specifically 11, with WrestleMania 39 going Hollywood. WWE's production crew is pulling out all the stops by showcasing top superstars in parody trailers of popular TV shows and films as a way to get fans hyped for the showcase of the Immortals. Thus far, we have witnessed Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins doing their best impression of Batman and the Joker respectively. We've seen Bianca Belair and Montez Ford recreating a scene from the Titanic as part of the WrestleMania 39 trailers. And on Monday's edition of Raw, Rhea Ripley channeled her inner 11, Millie Bobby Brown, in a new ad parodying Stranger Things, the popular Netflix show. Ripley could be seen using her psychic powers while being grilled via intercom by John Cena, who voiced the character of Martin Brenner, that being Matthew Modine. As Cena asked Ripley if she was ready for the pressure, he seemingly confirmed that Ripley versus Charlotte Flair would be the main event for the first night of WrestleMania 39. He said, quote, "Feeling that pressure, huh?" Cena asked Ripley of being the main event of WrestleMania. "It's triggering you right now, Rhea. You want some? Then go get some." Now, according to WrestleVote, some of the other commercials will feature The Miz and Maurice in a Top Gun parody, Brawling Brutes and Drew McIntyre starring in a 40-year-old virgin spoof, and the Bloodline doing their best Goodfellas impression. With WrestleMania 39 less than 3 weeks away, fans can expect the other trailers to air imminently, and certainly they're a lot of fun. I don't know if they're as good. Maybe if they're as good. What do you think? Are they as good as the original ones back at WrestleMania 21, or are they better? You let me know your thoughts. Otis has got a makeover. Otis was missing for the majority of the show. After Chad Gable hunted around backstage all night for Otis, finally he found him backstage with the Maximum Male models. Revealing a big makeover for Otis, he posed for a photo from Mansoor and Massey, and Maxine Dupree stood by, reveling in his beauty. While Chad Gable attempted to break up the photo shoot, he got firmly put in his place by Maxine Dupree, including a scathing insult where Dupree evoked the name Vanderpump Rules and mentioned both Scandival and his Bambi-eyed mistress, which are things that only a very specific set of wrestling fans might know, was a total burn on Gable. While Gable attempted to get Otis to leave with him, a small call from Maxine got Otis to trail the Maximum Male models, telling Gable, "Sorry, coach," on his way out. So seemingly, we're going to see this breakup of the Alpha Academy, maybe. Finally, we got the ratings for Friday's edition of SmackDown on Fox. The viewership figure and demo rating for Friday's March 10 edition of SmackDown on Fox has been revealed. Per Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, SmackDown drew 2.320 million viewers, which is down from the March 3rd edition that drew 2.451 million viewers. In the 18 to 49 demographic, Friday's show scored a 0.63 rating, which is up from the week prior that scored a 0.59 rating. WWE ranked number 1 on all broadcast primetime in the demo for the night. The show featured Jey Uso explaining the betrayal of Sami Zayn and the Usos getting into a brawl with Zayn and Cody Rhodes as well. So a little bit down, but still decent numbers on the road to WrestleMania for WWE. But there you go, guys. It's the latest WWE news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Let me know your thoughts on today's WWE news stories in the comment section below. Remember, you can join the WN365 roster by clicking that join button, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.